Today, we are diving deep into one of the greatest unsolved treasure mysteries of all time. It's a story packed with a ruthless pirate, a truly legendary heist, and a cryptic puzzle that has stumped treasure hunters for almost 100 years. This is the incredible legend of Olivier Levasseur, the pirate they called Buse.
And it all kicks off with these famous, defiant last words. A challenge shouted from the gallows that would ignite a treasure hunt spanning generations, fueling obsession, and blurring the line between solid history and wild myth.
And this is the key to the entire mystery. A 17-line cryptogram that's supposedly a map to a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, at first glance, it just looks like a bunch of gibberish, right? But for hundreds of treasure hunters, these little symbols are the first step on a path to unimaginable wealth. So to really understand the power of this legend, we have to go back to the very beginning. The year is 1730, and one of the most feared pirates in the Indian Ocean is just moments away from his death. So the story goes like this. As the noose is being placed around his neck, Levasseur dramatically rips a necklace from his throat, hurls it into the shocked crowd below, and yells out his legendary challenge. Now, the necklace itself is lost to history, but the promise of that treasure, that has survived for centuries.
But who was the man behind the myth? To really get a handle on the legend, we first have to understand the pirate himself. And let me tell you, his story is probably not what you're expecting. He was known as Buse, which means the buzzard, and he earned that name for the sheer speed and absolute brutality of his raids. It was the perfect name for his predatory, swooping style out on the high seas.
What's so fascinating about Levasseur is his background. I mean, this guy wasn't born into a life of crime. He came from a rich family, got a top-notch education, and was even trained as an architect. He first went to sea as a privateer, basically a legal pirate for the French king. But when the war was over, he chose the pirate's life instead of going home, and he never looked back. He quickly built a reputation for being absolutely fearsome. He teamed up with some of the most infamous pirates of the Golden Age, led brutal attacks, and became instantly recognizable with his signature eye patch after an old injury left him blind in one eye. And apparently, he was just as sharp with his words as he was with his sword. You know, every great pirate has that one signature score, that one heist that makes them a legend. For Buse, a single event cemented his place in history and became the source of this incredible treasure story. The target was the Nossa Senhora do Cabo, a massive Portuguese treasure ship. It was sailing back from Goa, absolutely loaded with riches, when it got slammed by a violent storm. It was forced to limp to an island for repairs, right in the middle of pirate territory. Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And here's the kicker, an incredible stroke of luck for the pirates. To keep from sinking in the storm, the ship's crew had thrown all 72 of its cannons overboard. Buse and his partner basically stumbled upon a floating treasure chest that couldn't even fight back. The amount of loot they took was staggering. Seriously, it's considered one of the biggest pirate hauls in history. We're talking bars of gold and silver, endless boxes of coins, diamonds, pearls, priceless religious artifacts, and the centerpiece, the legendary fiery cross of Goa, a solid gold cross so heavy it supposedly took 3 men just to carry it. To put this into perspective, when they divvied up the treasure, every single pirate on that crew got at least 50,000 golden guineas and 42 diamonds. That is a life-changing set-for-life fortune for every man on board. So with that much wealth floating around, it's really no wonder people believe Buse must have buried his shares somewhere. And, of course, that belief brings us right back to the cryptogram and the obsessive, centuries-long hunt that it inspired. You know, the hunt for this treasure is a whole story in itself. It's like a baton of obsession being passed down through the generations. From the first time the cipher was even mentioned publicly in 1934, to the lifelong quest of guys like Reginald Cruz Wilkins, all the way to modern-day researchers who claim they finally cracked it. Reginald Cruz Wilkins. This guy dedicated over 30 years of his life to solving this puzzle. He came up with this incredibly complex theory that the solution was hidden in Masonic symbols and Greek mythology, and that you had to complete 12 labors, just like Hercules, to find the treasure. He died before he could ever prove it. And the story doesn't stop there. More recently, in 2012, a French researcher named Emmanuel Mazzino announced that he'd done it. He'd cracked the code and knew the exact spot. The only problem? He couldn't get the official permits to dig, which just adds another frustrating chapter to this whole mystery. Okay, so after all the incredible stories, the secret codes, and the decades of searching, how much of this is actually true? It's time we separated the hard historical facts from the romantic myth. Here's where the legend and reality really split apart. The legend talks about one massive, hidden treasure chest. But history tells us the loot from the Cabo was divided up among the crew right away. The legend says the cryptogram was thrown from the scaffold in 1730, but there's absolutely no historical record of it until a book that was published in 1934. The truth is, most historians today are pretty convinced the whole story is a 20th century invention. And this quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? Even with all the evidence suggesting the story is a myth, the idea of a lost pirate treasure is just so powerful that it keeps inspiring people to search. The legend is just too good to let die. Now, in this whole effort to separate the man from the myth, there's one last question that always seems to pop up about his name. People from the Levasseur family in North America are constantly asked if they're related to this notorious pirate. And the answer they give is pretty clear. It's extremely unlikely. They've done a ton of research, they've even run DNA tests on different family lines, and they haven't found any connection at all. In fact, the research shows that the two main Levasseur family lines that settled in North America aren't even related to each other. And without a DNA sample from the pirate himself, which is, impossible to get, any link to Olivier Levasseur is pure guesswork. So that leaves us with one final big question. We know the treasure was almost certainly spent. We know the cryptogram is probably a modern invention. So why do we still search for it? Why does the legend of Buse still have such a powerful grip on our imagination? I think it's because stories like this tap into something deep inside us, our love of adventure, our hope for that one life-changing discovery, and the simple, undeniable thrill of a mystery that's just too good not to be true. The real treasure, it seems, was never buried in the ground. It's the incredible legend itself.